Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, My Husband Gave His Sister Our Car. I Reported It Stolen. I'm Ariana, 34F, and my husband, Roman, 36M, and I have been married for 8 years. We both work full-time. I'm a dental hygienist, and he's in sales. We're not rich by any means, but we've always been careful with money and managed to build a comfortable life together. One of our biggest purchases was our car, a 2019 Toyota RAV4 that we bought new 3 years ago. We both contributed to the down payment and split the monthly payments. It's technically in both our names, though I use it more often since Roman has a company car for work. Enter Roman's sister, Eliza, 32F. She's always been, let's say, financially challenged. While Roman and I built our careers slowly and saved carefully, Eliza bounced between jobs, relationships, and get-rich-quick schemes. She's also mastered the art of being the family victim. Whenever things go wrong, it's never her fault, and someone else needs to help fix it. Some background. Eliza has borrowed money from every family member at least once. She's lived with their parents 3 separate times after breakups or job losses. She once convinced Roman to co-sign a lease for her, then skipped out after 4 months, leaving him to cover the remaining rent. You'd think he'd learn, but nope. He's got a major blind spot when it comes to his little sister. She's family, he always says when I question her latest drama. We have to help family. I've tried to be understanding. Really, I have. When Eliza needed help moving last year, I spent my entire Saturday helping her pack. When she needed a place to stay for just a few days after her last breakup, those days turned into 3 weeks of her camping on our couch. I've listened to her endless schemes about starting a jewelry business, becoming a social media influencer, or whatever her latest passion project is. That should have been a mountain of red flags building up, but I was already falling for Roman. And really, helping your sister out once or twice isn't that weird, right? Except it wasn't just once or twice. During our years of dating, I watched Eliza talk him into investing $5,000 in her friend's guaranteed success food truck business. Spoiler, the truck never even got purchased. And guilt him into buying her a MacBook because she was finally going to start her graphic design career. Each time, Roman would say the same thing. She's trying to get her life together. We have to support her while she figures things out. I tried to be understanding, really I did. I'm an only child. Maybe this was normal sibling stuff. But then I started noticing how one-sided it was. When Roman needed help moving to a new apartment, Eliza was too busy with her latest boyfriend. When he was sick with the flu, she never even called to check on him. But the moment she needed anything, money, time, favors, Roman was expected to drop everything and help. Looking back, I should have had a serious conversation with Roman about boundaries before we got married, but when he proposed, I was so happy and in love that I thought we could figure everything out later. We had the perfect wedding, though Eliza still owes us $500 for her bridesmaid dress, bought a cute house in the suburbs, and settled into married life. The real trouble started about 2 years into our marriage. Eliza showed up at our door at midnight, mascara running down her face, clutching a designer handbag that probably cost more than her monthly rent. He kicked me out, she sobbed. Can I stay here for a few days? Those few days turned into 6 weeks. She took over our guest room, ate our food, used my expensive skincare products, and never offered to chip in for utilities. Every time Roman tried to bring up her finding her own place, she'd burst into tears about how she was going through trauma and needed her family's support. I finally put my foot down when I found out she'd been using our address to apply for credit cards. That led to our first big fight about Eliza. You're being heartless, Roman accused. She's going through a hard time. She's always going through a hard time, I shot back. At what point does she have to start taking responsibility for her own life? Eliza moved out the next day, making sure everyone in the family knew how cruel and unwelcoming I was. Roman's parents called to tell me that family needs to stick together. I bit my tongue and didn't point out that Eliza seemed to have a very one-sided definition of family obligation. That pattern continued for years. Eliza would get herself into some kind of trouble, financial, romantic, professional, and Roman would rush to rescue her. If I objected, I was being cold and didn't understand family loyalty. If I tried to suggest that maybe Eliza needed to face consequences sometimes, I was jealous of their sibling bond. The really frustrating part was watching Eliza waste every opportunity she was given. Roman helped her get a job at his company. She quit after 2 weeks because the boss was mean. He asked her to show up on time. His parents paid for her to take coding classes. She dropped out halfway through because it was too stressful. Every time someone tried to help her build a stable future, she found a way to sabotage it, and through it all, Roman kept making excuses for her. She's still finding herself. She's had bad luck. She just needs a little more support. I learned to pick my battles. I couldn't stop Roman from giving Eliza money from his personal account, but I made sure our joint accounts were secure. I couldn't prevent him from spending his free time helping her move, again, or fix her car, again, but I could refuse to let her chaos take over our home anymore. We reached a kind of uneasy truce. Roman handled his sister's constant crises, and I pretended not to notice how much money and energy it cost us. It wasn't perfect, but it was working, sort of, until the day I walked out of work and found my car missing. It started last Tuesday. I finished work early and headed to my car in the clinic parking lot, only to find it wasn't there. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Did I park somewhere else? Did someone move it? I walked around the entire lot twice before accepting that my car was genuinely missing. I called Roman immediately. Hey, honey, weird question. Did you take the Rayev for today? There was a pause, a long pause. You know the kind that means bad news is coming? About that, he started, and my stomach dropped. Eliza's car broke down completely yesterday. The repair costs more than the car's worth, and she needs reliable transportation for her new job, so I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Roman, please tell me you didn't. It's just temporary, he rushed to explain, just until she can save up for her own car. We barely use the RAV4 anyway since I have my work car, and you could carpool with your friend from the clinic. Are you seriously telling me you gave our car to Eliza without even discussing it with me first? I knew you'd overreact. Eliza really needs help right now. This job could be her big break, but she can't get there without reliable transportation. Where's my car, Roman? Our car, he corrected, is with Eliza. She'll take good care of it, I promise. And she'll even make the payments. I cut him off. Like she made the payments on her apartment, or paid back the money she borrowed from your parents, or followed through on literally any financial commitment ever? That's not fair. She's really trying to turn things around this time. Where is my car? I don't know exactly. She's probably at work. Look, can we discuss this when I get home? You're being unreasonable. I hung up on him. Then I took a deep breath, counted to 10, and called the police. I'd like to report my car stolen, I told the dispatcher, then provided all the details they needed. 20 minutes later, I was giving a statement to an officer in the clinic parking lot. I showed him the car's registration. Thankfully, I keep a copy in my purse. Explained that it was jointly owned by my husband and me, and that it had been taken without my knowledge or consent. Ma'am, the officer said carefully, if your husband gave someone permission to use the vehicle. He gave away a car that's in both our names without consulting me. That's theft. The officer looked skeptical, but took down all the information. I also mentioned that I had the only spare key. Roman had lost his months ago and never replaced it, which meant Eliza must have had a copy made without authorization. I knew things were about to get messy, but I was beyond caring. I texted Roman. I've reported the car stolen. Tell Eliza to return it immediately or she'll be facing charges. His response was immediate. Are you crazy? I told you I gave her permission. Your permission isn't enough. It's my car too. Return it now. Then my phone exploded with messages. Eliza. WTF is wrong with you? Roman said I could use the car. Roman's mom. Ariana, honey, we need to talk about your extreme reaction. Roman's dad. This family doesn't involve the police in private matters. I turned my phone off and got a ride home with my coworker, Lisa. By the time I got there, Roman was already home, pacing in the living room. I can't believe you called the police, he shouted as soon as I walked in. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Embarrassing? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about embarrassing? How about finding out your husband gave away your car without even asking you? How about having to beg a ride home from work because your car is just gone? It's not gone. Eliza has it. Yeah, Eliza has it. Eliza, who has never successfully managed money or responsibility in her entire adult life, has our $30,000 car, the car we're still making payments on, the car that's in both our names. Did you even think about the insurance implications? What happens if she has an accident? He ran his hands through his hair, his classic stress gesture. You're making this into such a bigger deal than it needs to be. Eliza needs help. Eliza always needs help, and you always give it to her without thinking about the consequences. But this time, you didn't just give away your own money or time, you gave away something that belongs to both of us. I knew you wouldn't understand. You're an only child. You don't know what it's like to have siblings. Oh, don't you dare try to make this about me being an only child. This isn't about understanding sibling relationships. This is about respect in a marriage. This is about making major decisions together. Our argument was interrupted by a pounding on the front door. Eliza burst in without waiting for an answer, her face red with anger. "The police pulled me over," she shrieked. "They had their guns out and everything. I could have been shot." "Don't be dramatic," I said tiredly. "Standard procedure for a stolen vehicle stop. Where's my car?" "It's not stolen. Roman gave it to me. I need it for work." "Roman had no right to give it to you without my agreement. Where is it?" "It's outside," she sniffed. "But I don't know what I'm going to do now. I can't afford another car, and this job is really important." "Not my problem," I cut her off. "Give me the key." She looked at Roman pleadingly. He started to say something, but I'd had enough. "Eliza, give me the key right now, or I'll call the police back and press charges for auto theft. Your choice." She threw the key at me, literally threw it like a child having a tantrum, and stormed out. Roman followed her, probably to comfort his poor victimized sister. I went outside to check on my car. It was already messier than when I'd last seen it. Fast food wrappers on the floor, some kind of sticky substance on the console, and the gas tank was nearly empty. Classic Eliza. The next few days were tense. Roman slept in the spare room, claiming I was being unreasonable and needed time to calm down. Eliza blew up social media with vague posts about toxic in-laws and family betrayal. Their mother kept calling, trying to mediate. I stayed firm. When Roman's mom called again to explain how family helps family, I finally lost my patience. "You're right, actually. Family does help family. But you know what else family does? Family respects boundaries. Family asks before taking. Family doesn't enable destructive behavior." Eliza's trying to get her life together. Eliza's been trying to get her life together for the past decade. And every time someone bails her out, she learns that she doesn't actually have to try. She just has to cry to Roman and he'll fix everything. That's very harsh. No, what's harsh is finding out your husband gave away your car without even asking you. What's harsh is having to involve the police to get back your own property. What's harsh is everyone in this family acting like I'm the villain for having basic boundaries. After that conversation, I decided it was time for some serious changes. I consulted a lawyer about protecting my assets just in case. I moved my personal savings to a new account at a different bank, and I made an appointment with a marriage counselor. When I told Roman about the counseling appointment, he actually laughed. "We don't need counseling just because you overreacted about the car." "No, we need counseling because you don't see why giving away our car without consulting me is a problem. We need counseling because you prioritize your sister's wants over our marriage's needs. We need counseling because you think it's okay to make unilateral decisions about joint property." "You're being dramatic. Either you come to counseling with me or I'll be making an appointment with a divorce lawyer instead. Your choice." That got his attention. Our first counseling session was interesting. Roman spent the first 20 minutes trying to explain why giving Eliza the car was perfectly reasonable and I was just being difficult. The counselor listened patiently, then asked him a simple question. "If Ariana had given her best friend your work laptop without asking you first, how would you feel?" "That's different," Roman protested. "Eliza's family." "Why is it different?" Dr. Martinez pressed. "Both scenarios involve giving away something that belongs to both partners without consultation." Because, Roman struggled. "Eliza really needed the car. And what if Ariana's friend really needed the laptop? It's not the same thing." "Actually," I interjected, "it's exactly the same thing. But you can't see it because you have a massive blind spot when it comes to Eliza." Over the next few sessions, we dug deeper into the dynamics at play. Roman's need to protect and provide for his little sister, even at the expense of his marriage. My frustration with being treated like an outsider in my own marriage when it came to family decisions. The way Eliza had learned to manipulate her brother's protective instincts. Slowly, very slowly, Roman started to see things differently. The breakthrough came when the counselor had us each write down every time we'd helped Eliza in the past year, including monetary value where applicable. The total was staggering. Over $20,000 in loans, bills paid, rent covered, plus countless hours of time and emotional energy. That's more than we put into our retirement account last year, Roman said quietly, staring at the numbers. And how much of that has Eliza paid back? Dr. Martinez asked. None of it, I answered when Roman remained silent. She never pays anything back. She just moves on to the next crisis. Because we've taught her she doesn't have to, Roman finally admitted. Every time we bail her out, we're teaching her that she doesn't have to be responsible. That admission was the turning point. Roman agreed we needed to establish clear boundaries with Eliza and the rest of his family. No more unilateral decisions about money or property. No more open-ended loans that never get repaid. No more enabling Eliza's financial irresponsibility. It wasn't easy. Eliza threw an epic tantrum when Roman told her we wouldn't be helping with her car situation anymore. His parents accused me of turning their son against his sister. There were tears, guilt trips, and more vague social media posts about fake family and blood versus water. But Roman stood firm for the first time in his life. He told Eliza she needed to figure out her transportation on her own, like every other adult does. He told his parents that while he loves his sister, he won't enable her dependency anymore. And he told me, in front of his whole family, that his marriage had to come first. Eliza eventually bought herself a used Honda. Nothing fancy, but reliable enough for work. She had to take the bus for 2 months to save up for it, but she did it. And you know what? She takes better care of that car than she ever did of anything that was given to her. It's been 6 months since the car incident. Our marriage is stronger now, though we still have occasional rough patches when Eliza needs something and Roman's protective instincts kick in. But now we discuss these situations together and make decisions as a team. Last week, Eliza called Roman asking for money to pay her car insurance. Instead of immediately offering to help, he talked to me first. Together, we decided to send her information about budgeting apps and financial literacy classes at the local community college. She wasn't happy, but for the first time in her life, she's actually having to learn financial responsibility. As for our RAV4, we had to get the locks changed after discovering Eliza had made multiple copies of the key. We also found out she'd gotten 2 parking tickets while she had the car, tickets she conveniently forgot to mention. Roman paid them without me having to ask, and Eliza's name is now on our never borrow the car list. Roman's parents still think I overreacted by calling the police, but even they have started to see the positive changes in Eliza since we stopped enabling her. She's held the same job for 6 months now, a personal record. She's learning to budget, even if she's not great at it yet. And most importantly, she's starting to understand that family helps family doesn't mean family fixes everything for you. Yesterday, Roman found an old photo of Eliza's first car, a beaten-up Corolla she'd totaled 3 months after getting it. His parents had bought her 3 more cars after that, each one meeting the same fate until they finally stopped replacing them. I can't believe we never saw the pattern, he said, shaking his head. Every time we replaced something she destroyed, we were just teaching her that consequences don't matter. Better late than never, I replied, and he hugged me. Sometimes love means standing firm, even when it feels like you're the bad guy. Sometimes helping someone means letting them face the consequences of their actions. And sometimes saving your marriage means being willing to be the villain in someone else's story. As for Eliza, she still posts occasionally about how mean I am for not helping family. But now she posts those rants from her own car, bought with her own money, maintained with her own effort, and honestly, that's worth all the drama in the world. The key to our RAV4 hangs on a hook by the door now. A reminder that sometimes you have to pay a professional to tell you what you already know deep down. Boundaries aren't just important in marriage, they're essential in every healthy relationship, even or especially with family. Here are my thoughts about the story. Okay, whoa, can we talk about Roman's spine disappearing faster than my motivation at the gym? Because this man really gave away a whole car without asking his wife. Not like borrowing it for an afternoon, straight up gave it away. The audacity is astronomical. But Eliza? Eliza is a piece of work that deserves her own Netflix series. Like, imagine being so entitled that you accept someone else's $30,000 car and then throw a tantrum when they want it back. Make it make sense. And those social media posts about toxic in-laws and family betrayal after she basically committed grand theft auto? Girl, the only toxic thing here is your relationship with reality. What really sent me, though, was Roman's parents calling to say, this family doesn't involve the police in private matters. Translation, we're totally cool with theft as long as it's keeping up appearances. Like, what kind of backwards logic? I bet if someone stole his mom's country club membership card, the SWAT team would be involved. But let's talk about Ariana for a minute. The way she handled this was beautiful. No dramatic screaming matches, no social media warfare, just straight to the police like a boss. Hi, yes, I'd like to report my car stolen because my husband thinks he's Oprah giving away cars that aren't his. Iconic. The part that got me heated was Roman sleeping in the spare room because Ariana was being unreasonable. Sir, you gave away a whole entire vehicle without consulting your wife. The only unreasonable thing here is that she didn't change the locks on the house, too, because apparently this man never met a boundary he couldn't ignore for his sister's convenience. And can we appreciate the therapy sessions? When the therapist hit him with that laptop comparison and Roman's brain literally short-circuited trying to explain why it was different because family? That's the kind of quality content I live for. Sometimes you need to pay a professional just to state the obvious. Giving away joint property without asking is wrong, even if the person you're giving it to shares your DNA. The cherry on top of this whole mess Sunday was Eliza making multiple copies of the car key. Like, ma'am, this isn't a timeshare. You can't just copy keys to other people's property like you're running some kind of discount car rental service. The fact that there had to be a never borrow the car list created is sending me. But you know what's actually kind of beautiful about this mess? It forced them to finally address the elephant in the room. Or should I say the Eliza in the room? Sometimes it takes something this ridiculous to make people realize their normal meter is broken. Roman finally growing a backbone and telling his sister she needs to adult like the rest of us? That's character development I can get behind. And Eliza actually buying her own car and keeping it alive for more than 3 months? Miracles do happen, folks, though I bet that Honda feels really different from the RAV4 she thought she was entitled to. Funny how people take better care of things when they have to work for them themselves. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a car. It's about respect, boundaries, and learning that family helps family doesn't mean family gets to steal your stuff. And sometimes the best way to help family is to stop helping so much. Wild concept, I know. Props to Ariana for standing her ground and not letting herself be gaslit into thinking she was overreacting. Because if your spouse gives away your car without asking, calling the police isn't an overreaction. It's just Tuesday's to-do list item number 1, recover stolen vehicle, schedule marriage counseling, maybe order a spine for husband from Amazon Prime. But anyways, guys, with this, we've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like the video/comment if you enjoyed it. I'll see you again tomorrow.